Thank you, Malcolm. Once again, you humble me with your kind words. I think the great thing I love about Jeunesse is we all start the same position as associates, and you work your way up in this company. And the truth is, it's about self growth. And as you grow and as you learn, your team will grow as well. I think for most of us, as we start in this, I love the compensation plan. I love the company because the first thing you do is learn how to recruit and sponsor people. The next skill you have to learn, and these are skills you have to learn. There's no second cutting. You can't buy your way up in this company. You have to do the work to make it happen. And the second thing you learn is teach your people to do the same thing. And I think that, as we talked earlier, I think what I'm seeing in my organization now is that everyone's gone through their warm market or the people they know, and now it's come down to talking to strangers and finding those leads and finding the lead generation systems. And I will tell you, just like Malcolm says, if you have to pay for it online, trust me, it's not as good as something that's free. Someone's making money off of that. So the reason that I think most people pay for lead generation stuff is they're either afraid, and fear is probably the biggest deterrent in this company, in this industry, is being afraid. So by self-development, you become courageous, and you can push through those things. So with my teams and stuff, one of the things I've realized is that talking to strangers, they either say too much because they're afraid. Everything is really driven by fear, which I think is quite a phenomenon that I had not realized until really getting in this business, because I'm kind of a fearless person. I have no fear in a lot of things, but then there's some things I am afraid of. So, what I wanted to talk to, and I hope you're going to take some notes because I'm going to go through this pretty quick, but it's what I feel is some really, really important foundations of talking to people. And what this business is about, it's a people business. It's how you create rapport with people, whether they're people you know or strangers. You can have the same skill and the same success with both. And if you learn this skill, you will never, ever be the type of person that tries to force your team into building your business, because you become empowered to build your own business and you become a leader, and your team will follow leaders. So this is key. First of all, remember who you talk to and what you say. It's all about talking to the right people. And the biggest skill that you're going to learn in this business, I don't care who it is, and you can watch Paula Pritchard, her biggest skill is listening. If you talk more than you listen, you will fail, I promise. This is about listening, because what we do, as Paula says, we are a solutions provider. And unless you listen, you'll never know what solutions you have to provide to the people you're talking to. So there's some key questions. If you program yourself into this in every conversation, and what I'm going to go through, I kind of, as I was driving today, I was scribbling notes as I was driving, which I guess I shouldn't, but that's just kind of how I work. I do many things at once. But the three things, if you program yourself in how, why, and when, those three questions are the money questions that you will learn, and you can tail those into everything that you ask someone. When they come back with their answer, then you'll be able to add this how, when, and why questions to everything they say, and you can create a very good conversation. So I'm going to go through some things. First of all, don't be in such a hurry to tell someone about your business that you know nothing about them. You know, there's so many times you meet someone, and in 2 seconds, before you know it, you're telling them all about your business, and you can just see the body language of the people backing up away from you, because you don't know them. So how can you even know if this is something that they're even interested in? So that's something that I really caution. Now I'm gonna give you some questions that will help you to talk to people, and these are things that you need to practice, you need to write down, and you need to continue practicing. They should turn into these little second quiet voices sitting on your shoulder in the back of your mind that are always running when you're talking to people. They're always going. They never stop. First of all, who are they? In other words, these are the people you're talking to. Who are they? What do they do? What's important to them? What do they really want? What don't they want? And what are their problems? If you learn this about the people you talk to, you will figure out the solutions that they need. These are key questions.
Can you just, because we've got a lot of Dutch speakers, can we just go through those points step by step again, please, Dan?
Sure, absolutely.
Very important, because a lot of the people will need to follow through, if you don't mind.
That's right. First of all, who are they? Are those topics that I want to say, who are they? In other words, who are the people you talk to? Who are they? Who are they? Second of all, what do they do? What do they do for work? What they do for fun? What do they do? What makes them tick? Next, what's important to them? You know, what's important to a mother is going to be something very different than a father or a business owner. So find out what's important to them. And then what do they want? What do they, every day they wake up, they want something. Maybe they want a better life. Maybe they want a little extra money. Maybe they want to take their family on that dream vacation. Maybe they want to put money away for their children. Maybe they want to retire. Maybe they want to find another business instead of their job. But find out what they want. And then the last thing is, what are their problems? You know, do they go to work every day and they have a boss that just belittles them, that puts them down, that really makes them feel bad? Or what do they have a car they have to put money in every week to fix and really like to have a new car? You know, find out what their problems are. And when you find those things out, you'll be able to take the next steps with them. Another thing is, and these are important things, do they want to make a change? That's really important. Do they want, I mean, there's people out there that are actually really happy having a miserable life. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. We're all different. We're all special. We're all different. We're all unique people. But there are people out there, and I know Malcolm's, everyone on this call has met people that just love misery. They love it. That's their life. They love it. They wouldn't change a single thing. They want to live in that world, and that's fine. So find out, do they want to make a change in their life? The second thing is, because here's another step, there's people that want to make changes but are not willing to do that. So the next thing is, are they ready to make a change? Very important. If they're not ready to make a change, you trying to give them a solution or something, you're wasting your time. And then the last thing is, are they open to hearing about what you have to offer them? You know, these three steps right here are so key, because if they're not ready to make a change, you're wasting your time. If they don't want to change, you're wasting your time. And if they don't want to see another opportunity or some other option to make those things happen, again, you're wasting your time. So make sure these three things are absolute yeses, every one of them. So let's see. As they talk about themselves, here's something too. When you're asking questions of people, if you learn to become a great listener, and there's no a little bit of a listener, and I'm going to talk about listening here in a minute, but as you become a great listener and you ask the right questions of people, and they're not scripted questions, they're normal, everyday questions that normal people would question and ask, but you learn this skill and it becomes part of who you are, what happens is you get people talking about themselves. And what happens is when people talk about themselves, whether it's their problems, their wants, or anything else like that, what's really cool about this is that they begin to see what they want to change. So that's a key thing, is people talk about themselves and they talk about their situations. Over time and over the conversation, they begin to realize the things they want to change. And at the end of this, I'm going to tell you, this piece of information at the end will come very clear to you. So remember this too. This is going to sound crazy to some people, but I'm telling you, it's the skill. You control the conversation when you ask questions. That's the most important thing. If you're asking questions, you control the conversation. Now, there's people out there that think, I can talk more, so I'm in control. And trust me, it's not the case. If you ask questions and they answer your questions and you ask more questions, you're in control. I promise. And that's what you want to always do, is maintain control in this situation, in this, the way that you talk to people and the way that you present this business. You always have to be in control. So let me give you kind of the six things here that I think are really important about this. So always start your conversation with genuine and sincere compliments. Now, I got to tell you, us guys, it might be a little bit different, but not quite. Depending on where you are and the environment that you're in, you can, for guys, we can say, well, I love your car, or I love your watch, or there's a lot of things that you can make that are very sincere compliments. Women, though, I'll be honest, because I've seen this happen, women have an advantage, because a lady can look at a lady and say, oh my God, I love those shoes, or I love that purse, you know, and boom, you're in talking. So always start with a compliment. Guys, we have a little bit more of a challenge, but we can find ways. You know, trust me, there's always ways to find. If you look at every person you meet and the first thing you're looking at and thinking about is, how can I sincerely give them a compliment? Then you begin to put that person first, and that's what's important about this business. Plus, starting off with a positive note keeps things going in a positive direction. So the next thing is embrace what I call pre-qualifying small talk. Okay, so pre-qualifying small talk, what is that? Well, it comes back to questions. If you're asking things like, what do they do? You know, a great one is you ask, what do they do? How long have you done that? What did you do before that? Those are sincere, genuine questions that are in normal conversation, and that's what you want to make this at. Just, you can make it very comfortable and very normal. Things like, where do they live? Have they always lived there their whole life? Where did they live before that? These are all the kinds of small talk questions that you can go, and I'm going to tell you, there's probably 700 small talk questions that you can come up with. There are tons, and it's endless. But the questions always come back to the same thing, and that's what I originally, how, why, and when. So if you say someone like, well, where do you live? Oh, I live in Belgium. Really? How long have you lived there? Oh, I've lived there 12 years. Really? Well, where'd you live before that? Those are normal flowing questions. How, when, where. Who, what, why. It's just very simple questions. The next, number 3, is ask lots of questions. The key to this is leads into information you want to know. Because if you listen and you ask questions, you're going to hear the information that you need to know to provide a solution. And this all kind of ties together. Always patiently wait. So you ask a question. Be patient with these people. Ask a question. Let them completely answer your question before you answer another. Don't cut them off. Don't talk above them. Don't be rude. And don't abruptly change gears. You know, you ask a couple questions like, gee, where do you live? How long have you lived there? And where'd you live before that? Oh, great. I've got this great business called Jeunesse. You can't change gears like that, okay? Be patient in this process. That's the key to this. Be very patient. And this process could go in a period of time. It could go over a few days. It could go over a few weeks. It's a process that you're going to. Constantly, here's one. Write this down. This is important. Constantly look for tell me more opportunities. When you're asking questions, you're always seeing with your questions, you're looking for those things that get you to say, tell me more about that. You know, when you talk to people, you know, part of this process is you're wanting to find out that, here's one that'll scare people. You want to find out if people have network marketing experience. Most people in the world have had some form of network marketing experience or exposure. So the question of that would be, well, why weren't you successful? What do you think you could have done differently that would have made you successful in that? You know? I know that Malcolm and Rolando, some people will talk later about this, but you know, the thing is with this conversation is, what if you can provide a solution that says, well, what if I could provide an opportunity that you wouldn't have to make those same mistakes again, that you would be successful? So again, we're solutions providers. The last answer always gives you the next question. Think about that. So if you ask, where did they live? The next question is, where did you live before that? So always be thinking in those same kind of conversations. Number 4, be nice. I mean, that's, to some of us, we think that's kind of like, really, you said that, but I'm telling you, people love nice people. Always be nice. Always be positive. Always be happy with your life. Always be happy with your situation. You know, if it's pouring down rain, and I do this all the time, I'll go someplace and I'll see a clerk at the store or someone somewhere, and they'll go, oh my gosh, it's raining like cats and dogs out there. And I always smile and say, really, I hadn't even noticed. It seems like it's sunshiny for me every day of every moment of my life. I can't imagine bad weather. It's always great weather. And people just say, how can you always be so positive and optimistic? That attracts people to you. That attracts people because people are not happy in their lives and they're looking for ways to change that. So let the other person do the talking. I cannot tell you how many times I've done, and I'm going to tell you, honestly, I've done 3-way calls with people, and my person will put me on a 3-way call with their prospect, and I begin to talk, and before I know it, my person wants to dominate the conversation. They all of a sudden take over the conversation. And when that happens, to be honest, I pretty well step back and let them have it, and I'm done. Because I don't want to compete. I want to always be gracious, and I always want to be polite, and I always want to do the right thing to help people. And I want people to see that I'm a very courteous and polite and nice person. And keep things light. Oh my gosh, don't get serious on people. Keep it light. Keep it positive. Never complain. Never argue with the people. You know, when you try to start convincing people, guess what? You're arguing. You're convincing, you're arguing, just don't do that. Just really don't do. I can't tell you enough. Please don't do that. It will destroy your business. So let's talk real quickly about 3 ways to talk to people. First of all, don't dominate the conversation. You know, and dominating the conversation means presenting, telling, teaching, persuading. You know, don't do that. People don't like that. Put yourself in that same position. How would you feel if you're talking to a stranger and all of a sudden they're presenting and teaching, telling you how you should live your life? You're done. You've left the conversation. So the second one is interact and discover from each other. You know, true relationships, that's what they're based on. You share, you discover about each other, and you share more, and you discover. That's the process. And the last thing is, if you talk and ask the right questions and take them down the right path, here's what happens. Others persuade themselves. And that's so important to understand. Identify their problem, show them how you might solve their problem or help them solve their problem. Very important. So the last few things I'll finish up because I know Malcolm's got me on the clock here. I get on a roll and look out. Listen more than you talk. And I'm going to tell you, I know there's people on this saying, I've built a great deal of my business online through social media, and I promise you, if you're sending them paragraphs of information through internet chat and they're coming back with single words, you have lost the conversation because you dominated it. You have to give them simple questions and simple answers and let them elaborate and tell you more, because I'm telling you, if you ask people the right questions, if you learn this skill about questioning and listening, people will tell you more about their life than you ever dreamed possible. And it's a gold mine when you can do this and learn this skill. Ask questions to learn about the other person's past, present, and future. You know, one of my questions I ask people is, if money was not an object, what would you do? And I have people say things like, oh, I'd travel. Well, again, remember what I'm kind of teaching this about, asking these questions. They say, oh, I'd travel. Well, what's the next obvious question? Well, where would you go? Well, I'd go to the Middle East. Well, okay, where in the Middle East would you go? What's the first country? What's the first town you'd go to? You know, these are just the natural questions. The act of listening openly, without judgment, interpretation, or prejudice, Putting your agenda aside and focusing on the other person is powerful. When you learn that skill, I'm telling you, you will make a fortune in this business because it's what Paula Pritchard is so skillful at doing. Doing this one skill about listening and being open and not judging people, doing this is so powerful, it's magnetic. It draws people to you. And that's what you want to do. You want to attract people. And most of all, learning this skill, it will separate you from all the other people out there trying to sponsor, recruit, and sell people into their business. Because all the amateurs in the world, that's what they do. They meet someone, they fire hose them with all kinds of information, and then they try to convince and push them to sign up. It's oh my gosh, and I think the ones for me, in America at least, the ones I feel the most sorry for are chiropractors. For some reason, chiropractors are a walking target for network marketers. I don't know why, but oh my gosh, I mean to tell you, I've talked to enough. They are overwhelmed, and I actually have 3 in my organization, and they are very happy, but it's because I learned the act of listening, and I learned the way to talk to them, because just like a doctor, just like a chiropractor, they've spent years learning their business. They're not just going to hang up their license and jump in network marketing. But you know what? And I love Dr. Maria said this too. The best thing that someone like that could ever do is be in a financial situation to provide the skills and the care they've learned and provide it to people at no charge. That's priceless. So if you can get a doctor or a professional to learn that that's another opportunity for them to do, again, you're helping them see that. So the last thing I'm going to go through real quick, Malcolm, is my last page, because I made a lot of notes. First of all, don't make statements. Don't agree or sympathize with people. If you meet someone who's telling you how rotten their day is and their boss hates them and they hate this and all this stuff, the more you sympathize and agree with them, they just spiral into this negative thing, and you're not really doing anything and you're wasting your time. So don't do that. Don't offer suggestions. You know, just don't offer suggestions to people. Don't talk about your bad experiences or your bad day or the fight you just had with your wife. Don't do that. You want to be positive and uplifting. Just simply listen and ask more interesting questions. Discover 3 things before you talk about Jeunesse. This is the last part of this, and these are the 3 kind of the qualifying things before you present to the people the Jeunesse opportunity. First of all, is there a problem to be solved? By asking questions and listening, you'll figure that one out. Next, do they have a need or a desire to change? Again, asking questions, listening, you figure that out. And the last is, do you have the right solution for them? You know, there might be someone that needs to make $1 million tomorrow. Jeunesse is not going to be that solution for them tomorrow. So always pay attention and make sure that you answer this. So for that, Malcolm, I am done. I took more of my time, but I'm sorry. But, you know, I get on a roll with this. You get me passionate about it, look out.
No.